This one is good. Yeah. Hello. Hi. Hi. Yay. Nice. Okay. So once again, we want to use ChatGPT in coding. That's kind of already been done a little bit and it's been done to great effect, but specifically for I think it was our linear regression lab. Let's see if we can do that. Okay. So let's actually go live. And the way we're going to go live is we're going to go onto one of my OpenAI chats, one of my ChatGPT chats, sorry. Okay. And so we're going to screen share again. Boom. Great. So that's not the screen. That's a ChatGPT chat. I'm going to log in. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so I'm asking it, can you write me a Python script to print hello world? Certainly. Here's a simple Python script that prints hello world. Great. Great warm-up exercise. Everyone confirm that's how you print hello world to Python? Okay. And it even gives you, actually, that's funny. It gives you steps to run the script as well. So great. Pass with flying colors. Fine. What if we wanted to build like a polynomial regression model, right? So if you'll remember that that's the task that we set, I think it was at the bonus of lab 4, at the end of lab 4. So what if we do that? And this is what happens. That's not what happens. This is what happens. Hello, please. There we go. Finally. All right. So my prompt to ChatGPT is, can you write me a scikit-learn polynomial regression implementation that uses one cross-feature term where the first and second feature, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And specifically, I told it to use 2D lists, use scikit-learn, and only use scikit-learn. And so it says this: certainly, here's an implementation of polynomial regression using scikit-learn that includes a cross-feature term. And cross-feature terms, by the way, it's where you multiply like feature 1 times feature 2, and you combine that and make that one feature. So it does this. Great, it explains it. And now I tell it to use the iris dataset now. Great, it does that. It does load iris, you see all of this, great. And it explains it again. And what happens is I ran this code and got the following error. And actually, it's very true. I won't run the code now, but this was actually when I was trying to make the bonus task for lab 4, and this is the process I went through, and it was very laborious. But I ran this code and got the following error. Value error x has 3 features. Polynomial features is expecting 6 features as input. And I asked it to help me debug. It spits out this now, and it spits out great. But the error is still there. And so I ask it to debug again. It says, this is the issue. It spits out more code. I say, thank you, because I'm a nice person. But actually it turns out that the code provided above does not modify the training dataset and add any polynomial features. Great. So it spits out more stuff. And actually we've just gone in a complete circle. So we're back to where we started. It's the same error and nothing's happened. And so I kind of keep on working, but at this point I've just given up with ChatGPT. And so you can see that it's very much not perfect. And so it has its problems, and you do need to make sure that when you're running this code, it does the things that you want it to do. It doesn't spit out any errors, and it's basically doing everything correctly. In this case, actually, I would say that we got lucky because ChatGPT spit out code that gave you an overt error. And so you can very easily tell that this code is not running and there's a problem that's happening. If, for example, ChatGPT gave you something that actually ran but didn't do the correct task, you'd be in a lot more trouble because you'd think that everything goes well, but it might not be doing the thing that you asked it to do. And so that's kind of an example where we need to make sure that we're being very careful about what ChatGPT is doing. That's that. Now, what are kind of our takeaways? from that exercise, we know that ChatGPT can be useful and isn't always useful. And actually is probably less useful than it is useful, depending on how much you want it to do. So if we want to ensure that it's useful, we need to remember that its primary goal is that it's a probabilistic language model. It wants to imitate human text or imitate human speech, I guess. And so we need to ask good questions to make sure that the speech that it gives us answers the questions, answers those good questions, answers the questions we want answered. Okay, so what are those good questions? Well, they're very specific, so you have to give little to no room for error in these prompts that you give to ChatGPT. And even when you do that, even when you construct these good prompts and engineer these good prompts, you still have to kind of treat these like suggestions and not really like facts, because it's good at a lot of different things at this level, but it's not really at this great level at one particular thing. And as you dig deeper and deeper into a niche, it kind of gets more and more stuff wrong. It starts making stuff up, and you kind of have more, you're faced with fact checking a lot more. Okay. And in general, just kind of treat it as you're talking to another person. You're talking to like an encyclopedia or something like that. You need to make sure that you're 90% sure that the things that you're getting back from it are right. But to get to 100% sure, you need to verify it a bit. You need to check second sources. You need to do your own research a little bit. ChatGPT can be the starting block, but it can't be the whole race. Okay. And so can ChatGPT answer every question? Actually, technically, but we'll say no, because it doesn't answer every question correctly. And so, yeah, it lacks truthfulness at times. It has limitations, and it starts making up information or taking a long time to generate this information. And depending on whether you use it correctly and efficiently or not, it can actually ruin your workflow. But overall, it's a very powerful tool. And